Years.
At Lake Irene, huh?
Okay.
Camden should be short because it's only 4
Yeah,
years.
that's true.
Let's go back to Uncle Jay. You were saying that they moved from that house up there to
Okay.
Camdenton,
Mm-hmm.
and then from Camdenton to
Trailer.
From Camden
From
to
Camden
the trailer
to-
down at the lake.
Yeah, when we moved back to Fayette, we didn't have a house. Someone, I think, was living in the farmhouse, and we didn't come back to that. So I think that's at the point that I didn't know it, but that's when Dad wanted to build his dream home,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't able to at the time.
Yeah.
So he bought a trailer.
Well, Grandma was living up there because that's where they
Yeah.
built this house
She
out
was
of
there.
Legos.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
That's
so,
right.
Snooky worked there
Yeah.
then. She'd
Yeah.
come in.
so we.
Office.
Yeah.
He
Mhm.
bought a 12 by 60 trailer and we lived in it and actually put another little trailer on the back of it.
Mhm.
My
Right.
bedroom.
And when we lived there, it was also when we got Paul Henry.
That's right.
Donna brought him home, and then here we are with this little bitty. I'm in the tiny bedroom with Paul Henry,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
Donna calls up from Alaska and says,
I got a kid to bring home. You know?
yeah,
Well, it
bring
wasn't
home a
her
little
kid.
Eskimo boy.
But he needed a place to live, right? So
Right.
Mhm.
Paul Henry lived with us for a while.
I remember Aunt Connie and Aunt Donna's bedroom was the addition or whatever that was, but I
Right.
remember when it would rain, you went in fast because it leaked right there,
Right.
Yeah.
and so you would
The
get wet.
passageway.
Yeah.
I remember taking biology and then formaldehyde, these sharks and cats that year. That,
Yeah,
and I was
dissecting.
smoking.
Yeah.
Mother, I could keep her out of my space if I had one of the shark or the cat because she hated the smell. It was a nasty smell, but hey, I could smoke.
With flammable material close by.
Right.
And when we lived in the trailer, Uncle Mason came and lived in that old bus that was parked
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
yard.
Mhm.
So
He lived in an old bus.
I remember.
Mhm.
So this was after I was born because I remember
Right.
all
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
Well,
You were
we-
born when we were
Yeah,
in Camdenton.
we're in
Yeah.
Camdenton now. Let's
Oh, we're
go
in
back.
Camden.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
All
we were
right.
in Camdenton. We became nieces, aunts and uncles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we used to, I remember Angie would put her in a car seat that was barely would hold her. And we'd drive to Camdenton. And about the time we get to Versailles where you turn there to the right, she gets sick every time. Anyway, we go to Camdenton and I remember right after she was born, Grandma stayed with me, and that was kind of a disaster. It was very much a disaster. But anyway, so Russell took me to Camdenton to stay with Mother and Daddy. I'm so relieved to be there. And then Mother said, Judy, would you like to go to town and get a milkshake or something? I said, can I? I mean, I was stuck with this kid, and
Yeah.
I didn't know.
and you were an adult
I was an
with
adult.
a child, and
With
you
a
wanted to
child.
know if you could.
Right. I remember thinking, can I do this? And
Well, she did the same thing with me, with Dwayne, when I took him down there, and she said, Nancy, you and Melvin ought to go out and eat tonight. I said, well, I've got this baby. Well, I'll
Right.
keep the baby.
right, we
Yeah.
thought,
And she practically kicked me out. I didn't want to leave my baby.
oh, I probably wanted to leave, but, but I didn't know I could. So anyway, but you guys all lived there, and I remember going in and going upstairs, and here was Nancy sitting in her bedroom smoking. Donna was sitting in her bedroom smoking. Connie was sitting in her bedroom smoking.
What
And it
about
was-
Tina?
No, Tina never smoked.
She
So-
was too young. Well,
Yeah.
I never did either.
So who graduated from Camdenton?
Glenn and
Oh.
Donna.
Glenn and
And
Donna.
while we're on that, I'm the oldest. Nancy is next. Then Glenn. Okay, I want us to talk about Glenn just for a minute while we're okay.
Right.
Glenn was.
Glenn had a hard time. He was not healthy as a baby, and he had
Because of asthma.
asthma and hay fever, and so he had a hard time. So when he was 5 years old, we went to Arizona and left him down there with Uncle Hillard and Aunt Gloria because it was supposed to be good for his health,
And it was.
and it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Is he the only one that has asthma or hay fever
I think so.
of all of you?
Well, he had it the worst. I think he
Yeah.
was.
I
Yeah.
don't. know of any others.
Did you ever have any?
Well, like Danny Taylor.
Oh, I have
did.
asthma now.
Your brother.
Not
And-
asthma, but hay fever, yeah.
Yeah, he had hay fever pretty bad.
But only when I get sick.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then again, when Glenn was a freshman in high school, they sent him out to Colorado, and he lived with Dick Needy and his family
For 1 year.
Okay.
for part of a semester, maybe 1/4 of the year. I don't know how long.
Oh yeah, I don't remember, but he was gone
Yeah.
several months. So, and then he was drafted, in Glenn was, and
Was he down there then, in Camdenton when he got drafted?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
For Vietnam.
and he went to Vietnam, and he learned how to fly though in Colorado. He and Eddie Doherty, another older guy here in town,
Went to a
both
school. for
went to the
crop
school
dusting.
to learn how to
At
fly.
the same time?
Mhm.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, with them.
Huh.
And they in Colorado, and they learned how to. So he was a crop duster and
In
a
Texas.
rainmaker, and so he got drafted in Vietnam, and he flew the big shots around in Vietnam in a smaller plane. Is what he, what his job was in Vietnam. And I remember when he left, Rusty was a baby, and that was '68, and so we all, and Angie, she loved Uncle Glenn loved his nieces and nephews because they were the only ones he had, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, he didn't pay any attention to my kids, but he brought gifts for her kids all the time. But you know, I guess I didn't live in the same neighborhood.
Well,
But
just
he-
so you know, he just
I mean, this
texted
is
me
really
last
the
night too, so he still loves me.
But Glenn, I think I always felt a little left out because we, you know, he lived away from the family 2 different times in his life.
Probably 3. I think
for
it was 3
long
years.
periods of
I think it was
time.
3.
And so once he left home, he never really came back.
Yeah.
Well, he also didn't like it that I ran over his water skis.
That's true. He was a very good water skier,
He
and
was
so was
very-
Donna.
He loved Camdenton. He liked
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
He worked at Tantera.
When, when we were living in Camdenton, I used to drive riding lawnmower, and I pulled J.A. behind me in a wagon, and which is what I was doing that day. And I was looking behind me. J.A. was in the wagon, and
I remember that.
he was unloading his water skis from his car. He just put them down, and I ran right over him.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
he,
he chased you around, and
he
You
chased
locked
me all
yourself
the
in
way
the
around the
bathroom, I
house,
think.
and then I ran in the house and locked myself in the bathroom.
Yeah, but she, as soon as, you know, I'm riding in the wagon, so I'm seeing all this. I see the skis, I see her, and then it's like, and she just jumps off the mower and takes off running, screaming. And of course, Glenn's a lot older, right? 10 years older. He could have caught her in no time. He's right behind her, just screaming.
yeah.
And so, you know, he could have caught her, but he didn't because it's the fear factor. And I'm in the wagon.
And it's still going.
It's still going. And finally, I'm like, can I get out of the wagon? I don't know. That lawnmower's still mowing too, you know? And finally, it hits the garage and stops. And I was like, okay, I can get out. I wonder if Tina's still alive. So I get out and go running after him to see. And it's
And
like,
here's the lawnmower sitting there digging a hole.
yeah. Well, he didn't catch her. She's still alive.
And then,
Donna and I worked at Chet's.
right.
Those were my first jobs. I worked as a car hop in Camdenton first, and then started working at Chet's, which is in Osage Beach. And Donna and I would go there. It was a long shift from 4 o'clock to like midnight, and the police there in Osage Beach would wait on the side of the road for us to go past, and then radio ahead to the Camdenton police that said they're coming because we were young. And you know, wave us into Camdenton, so keeping us safe.
Well, isn't that something? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It was very sweet.
And then Glenn grew up to be a pilot. He did that for his living, and he ended up in Alaska, and he married Andrea, and they have 2 children, Garrett and Morgan and Garrett. Morgan's the oldest. And now they live in Alaska, and part of the time they live in Tucson. So, and he always, I always remember he told me, he said it's so much fun that I get to go to a job every day that I love.
Mm-hmm.
He loved it, every bit of it. So.
Flying.
And he flew all over the world.
I flew with him one time when I lived with them in California. And I remember I put the things on, you know, and I'm sitting up in the cockpit watching everything. And all of a sudden someone starts talking. And I thought, man, that voice sounds really familiar. And I'm just watching. And then he said something else. And I thought, oh, that's Uncle Glenn talking. And I just thought it was so cool to be sitting up there with him. And I went on that whole run with him and then stayed with him somewhere. I don't even know where we stayed. And then flew home with him the next day. And it was a lot of fun.
Sounds like some of Tina's rubbed off on you.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know who you were listening
Yeah,
to.
well, because you can't hear anything up in the cockpit. It's very noisy. So and he was sitting right in front of me. I didn't hear him talking there, but I heard him in here. Yeah.
And then after Glenn, there's Donna. And Donna is Donna Jo Johnmeyer. And she graduated in Camdenton. Glenn and Donna both graduated in Camden. And she went to Alaska Methodist University.
She went to Lincoln first.
Yeah,
No, she went to
no,
Culver
Culver
Stockton.
Stockton.
Culver
Right.
Stockton, then Lincoln, and then Alaska
She
Methodist.
went to Lincoln? I don't remember that.
Yeah, she went to Lincoln
I
for
remember
like a year.
Culver Stockton.
Yeah, and then she went up with Daddy. He was going to be on the river. Remember that trip?
Yeah,
I remember
Johnny
that.
Bill was there.
Johnny
She
Yeah.
drove,
Yeah.
she helped drive the car.
They all drove to Alaska.
On the Yukon?
And she decided to stay
Mm-hmm.
because she really liked it. So she graduated from Alaska Methodist, which
Right.
was a very cool school.
And she was there still going to school when she had Aaron, right?
Yep, yep.
And then while she was there, she had a baby. He's half Tlingit Indian. He's not an Eskimo, he's an Indian. And his
And
parents.
also partly Hawaiian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Frank is.
Right. And he's up there now again. He's moved up there. So he kept in touch with his father. And she's in social work. That's what I want to say.
Is Aaron working in Alaska or is
Yeah.
just,
He's
He's
working. He got a job almost as soon as they got there.
what's he do up there?
Works like at a
Something
Walmart or a warehouse.
Same kind of stuff
Same
he
kind
was
of
doing.
stuff. Yeah. So.
Where's Donna now? Right now.
Ecuador.
Ecuador.
She is in Ecuador. Just bought a business.
No business.
Yes.
It's a gift shop, but she didn't. It's not the brick and mortar. Is
that the pictures you sent me? It was her shop?
Yes. Well, no, she's out. She's out shopping.
Shopping for her shop.
For her shop.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
it's
business
in,
is in Banos.
It's in Banos, and so it's kind of a high end shop. You know, they have a lot of. People are very poor in Ecuador, and so there are a lot of very inexpensive things and things that high end tourists don't want. You know, so if the high end tourists come in, they go to her shop, that one, and can buy. So she's looking for things that people with some money would buy, which, Donna's gotta love, because she is the shopper supreme.
Yeah, that sounds like it worked for her.
Yeah.
So, when she retired, she said she was going to do two things. She was going to move to Ecuador, or she was going to go to Ecuador and dye her hair purple.
And she
She
did
did
that.
both.
Yeah.
But she's still in Ecuador. I don't think her hair is purple
She,
anymore.
she bought.
And in Camdenton, do you remember the boat? And Daddy.
Oh gosh, yes, and then we also had we had the boat where we would go skiing, but we also had other boats.
A pontoon.
A pontoon, and we also had a
houseboat.
Houseboat.
Yeah.
Right.
What
And-
fun!
And a lot of the family here would come
A
and
lot of visitors.
a lot of visitors because they'd all go down for the weekend to stay with Uncle Julius to go out and.
I remember that speedboat. J.A. and I would sit out on the front of it and hang on to that ring, and he'd go speeding along, and people'd say, "There's Julius Johnmeyer trying to kill his kids again."
I remember I was
I
trying
mean,
to.
we're going 50 miles an hour.
Yeah,
from
we were
there.
going
Yeah,
fast.
Flying, yeah.
I was
Did
trying to
you
get,
have
Tina wanted to learn how to ski, and I was driving the boat, and so, several times she fell off and we had to go back around. I said, Tina, if you turn loose of that again, that's the last time. So she fell again, but she didn't turn loose, and I thought I drowned her that time. Yeah.
I was holding on no matter what.
She was gonna drown holding on, but she was not gonna let go.
Yeah, she held on.
All right.
I remember one time they
Wait,
Right.
we gotta take a break.
I'm gonna